Hey, it's Laura at Hyperstamper. Look at this one. I am so excited about this one because I've only ever had a few purple antique books. They just weren't made very often. This one is one called God Save the Queen. It was a library book, still has the marking there. And I took another mini book cover here that was just completely plain and broken apart, and I mounted it on top, and then I put this, probably one of the most exquisite postcards I've ever had. My sister gave me this one to use in my junk journals. I actually thought it was painted when I first got it. It's so beautiful. And if you look on the back here, you can see that this was written February 5th, 1922. So it's 102 years old, and look at it, it's just beautiful. So I mounted it so that you could remove it and enjoy it. I added the vintage beads and the purples and greens to match that. I love it. It's really, really beautiful. I'm just going to grab my vintage ruler here, and I'm going to measure 5 3/4 by 8 1/2. So it's a really good size. Let me just take you on a tour of this really fun book. I absolutely stuffed this with only authentic antique and vintage ephemera. There's no digitals or replicas or store-bought anything in here. It's all real. So it's a really fun little trip through history. And I left the library pocket on here, which I love when there's library pockets on. Speaking of which, I'll just really fast flip to the back here. Where I'm from, when a library book was being discarded, they punched this backwards L in the cover, and that let people know that it was not to come back into the library. So that's pretty cool. This is a plate out of an antique book that you can journal on the back of. And this is a vintage sewing book page here. And I made this pretty little triangle pocket with the hidden journaling space. This says Creative Impulse from an antique book. And then in here, I've got this wonderful plate from a history book. And this is the Grand Place from Belgium. And I put some antique paper on the back there. So that's a really fun journaling piece. And then on the flip side, this is actually a collectible. These were made, I want to say Germany, and I'm sorry if I'm wrong on that. But it came in a set, and every year they'd put out a set of 20. So I was actually lucky enough to get one set. But look at these. This is the best one out of the 20 I have because it's birds. And you know how much, if you follow me, how much I love birds. So this is very cool. And this is from, I want to say the 1940s. So very cool. You get that whole little book in there. Another spot here, an antique books interior spine here, an antique stamp, and some little scrap embroidery there. 1950s pearl shop, and a vintage botanical page here. You'll see more on the other side. Some little bits here. Another plate here from 1905. That is a gorgeous plate. Isn't that lovely? Just some vintage schoolbook paper there. There's the rest of that lovely botanical page. Here's a plate. Oh yeah, I think that one is from the Ruby book, but I'm not 100% sure, but it's pre-1910. And then I love this one because it says Secret Journal up here from a book I have, and I'm about to make a journal out of it. More vintage paper here, doily piece, and look here. We'll start here. This is a Liverpool postcard, and it's fabulous. And this is from the early 1900s. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? And the fun thing is, it's got the crown, it's got the purple, which kind of matches this, and under this there is actually a crown, but I covered it up. So I'm going to put this back in here. You will enjoy that postcard. So there's 2 postcards, one on the cover, one there. And this is probably one of my favorite photographs that came out of the 1920s, 1930s album that I have. A family unknown to me, but look at all the girls at this camp. That is pretty cool photograph, right? I love it. The flags flying. This is just a really cool little piece that I found in a 1940s magazine. Look how cool that is. Oh, sorry, I thought it was 1949, but it's 1950. There we go. And an embroidery book here, vintage from the 50s. And this is a book cover that was completely dilapidated. I couldn't save it, but I did like the sunshine on it, so I turned it into a journaling tag. You can make something out of everything. I hate to waste any part of a book when it's got no life left in it. This is just a really cool piece from a sort of a pop magazine from the 50s, and the old Draw Me. You used to, if you could draw that girl, you could get into art school. And then the words to all these hit songs of the day, which is pretty cool. Nifty and Nito Pepito, 1955 highway road map back there. And then look at this adorable little postcard. This is the third postcard here, and that is from Austria. Isn't that beautiful? And that's really quite old. This is just a little 1930s children's book page that I had paper on the back to journal on as well. And this here is a 1930s children's book page. I put antique paper here, and my brother-in-law just gave me a stack like this thick of these very old index cards. And you can tell they're old just by the coloring on them, but they were literally in a recipe box. So I've got, oh my gosh, so many of these to use. I'm very excited and very grateful to him for that. So thank you, Jonathan. This is from an old book jacket, but I loved it so much. I thought, yeah, you can absolutely journal in there. And there's the 1950s stamp collector book page. And then this here, I hope you can see it. The light's not good in here right now. This is a little German piece, a little boy holding a candle. And this would have been like a little collector card, but isn't that sweet? I've had it for years, and I just thought it was time to let somebody else enjoy it. I've enjoyed it very much. A vintage hanky, never used, never purchased, but it's for the owner of this journal to do whatever you like with it. Another children's book page, antique paper here, 1920s children's book page here, the Smuggler's Chest, little magical piece there, which I love. Little window box journaling space here, and another one of these wonderful old index cards. And this is from a very old Monopoly game that was loved very much. I love the aging on it, in a 1930s Monopoly money piece. And I put a stamp here to go with the postage stamp page. And this is a plate from the early 1900s, Timber Wolf. Beautiful woman riding a horse there with her partner up there. And there is another page, fantastic page from that same magazine I was telling you about, Learn to Play Guitar, Chet Atkins. My gosh, oh my gosh, Lawrence Welk playing the accordion. Like, this is old. Look how young he is. Oh wow, I'm sorry, I digress. That's just fantastic. And this is a Palmolive ad from 1942. Oh, great, soap ad. More vintage children's book pages here. Look at the Robin and the Sparrow. Isn't that lovely? 1950s Theatre World magazine page there. And here I have another wonderful plate of London. Wonderful. And that is from the book of English literature. And here's another one of these wonderful Polish embroidery magazine plates. Really beautiful photography on there. And this is from an antique book. The book itself was very plain, and I really couldn't do much with it, but I liked the jacket more than the book. So look at that. Isn't it beautiful? It just looks like it's 1,000 years old, but it's only about 110. And then, yeah, you can use this. You can turn that into a pocket, but I just loved that you could see through to one side. I put a 1937 May 8th page in here. If you purchase any of my journals, you can ask for a specific date, and I will include that for you. And you can use this as a pocket here. I didn't tape it down on all the sides. Another wonderful children's book page with birds and a flag page. Look at this little girl here looking at the bug, the book bug, a bookish little bug. Timothy Turtle. Here's a pocket with a 1953 receipt from the Bond Bread Bakers. Say it 3 times fast and you win a prize. It's late, I'm tired. 1905. Botanical gardening page here. And then, speaking of which, there's more coming up here. Look at this wonderful 1920s atlas page of Germany and Poland. Isn't that wonderful? The Baltic Sea. It's really lovely, the colors. I left the tear like that instead of cutting it, making it look all straight. I just think it's cool, but you could always take the scissors and straighten it if you prefer it that way. Look at these beautiful early 1900s botanical page here. And then back here is a lovely poem, Coming Summer, from 1800s, 1884. Here is a 1928 banknote, 1930s children's book page. Here's the flip side of that, and another little waterfall spot here using all antique paper. This is a vintage canasta score sheet that you can journal on as well. Kind of have fun with that. A little pocket there. And there's still more. We're almost at the end. A vintage playing card here of a Victorian woman walking her dog. And I love this book page title here, The Happy Time. And this wonderful magazine page here from the 50s as well. Look at these. Look at that wonder. I would put my grandchild in there, except I don't have one. And yeah, just great advertisement there on how to sell jewels and jewelry, and oh, it's just wonderful. And that brings us to the end. So I hope you love it as much as I loved making it. It's going on my website, hyperstamper.etsy.com, and I hope you'll subscribe and come back soon. Thanks.